I'm going to pull up some information regarding our state modeling. So if you're new to Delphian, this is going to be fairly new information to you. But for the most part, Delphian was created using an algorithm that helps identify bullish and bearish stocks. Obviously, bull stocks, you're expected for the stock to go up or the stock price to go up. Bear stocks, you're expecting the stock price to go down. So what is state modeling? State modeling is based on discrete mathematics called finite-state machine, simply meaning that a stock can only be classified into one state at any given time. Our way of classifying stocks is basically, is the stock's going to go up? What's the projected magnitude of the move? So is the stock going to go up or down? And how high or how low is it going to go when it makes that move over a certain period of time as well? So our proprietary algorithm classifies each stock into one of the 8 states to denote whether a stock is in a bullish or bearish state. And this lets you know when to buy or sell based on probabilities that are supposedly going to be in your favor based on state modeling and back testing. So state modeling works basically, you could think of it as a traffic light. It has 3 states, red. State modeling has 3 states, state modeling has 3 states, red, yellow, and green. It can only be one state at a time, its current state. So within state modeling, either a stock's going to be bullish or bearish, and it can only be in that particular state at one particular time. When certain conditions are met, the light will change from one state to another. So there's different variables within the market that could cause this change for a stock to change from either bullish to bearish or bearish to bullish. Similar to the traffic light, if something happens where time passes by or a pedestrian wants to cross the street, the walk button push, things like that, the traffic light's going to get ready to change. Each stock has its own time frame and magnitude of move parameters for each of the 8 states. So again, there's 8 total states within Delphian. Some are more bullish and some are more bearish, than the other. You can see below Microsoft, this is an example from state modeling. Microsoft has an average state 1 move to the upside because state 1 is bullish, and it moves up 7% over 35 trading days on average, as well as the SPX when it's in state 1, again, our most bullish state within state modeling, the SPX will move up 4% over 40 trading days. So you can see there's going to be a little bit of a difference between those two, but some other symbols, you will see a bigger difference with the percentage and the actual average time frame as well within state modeling. Here's just a layout of the different states that we have in state modeling. So we have, again, 8 states. So state 1 is going to be extremely bullish, essentially our most bullish state. And it's typically going to be in the middle or at the end of a current bullish trend or almost near a price peak. State 8 on the bottom is essentially the exact opposite or the inverse of that. That's our most bearish state, and that's typically going to be the end of a current bearish trend or near the bottom. You can see state 2, I'll go over. State 2 is a bearish state. Typically that's going to be a pullback from an uptrend or possibly the start of a downtrend. And again, state 7 is almost the inverse of state 2. State 7 is a bullish trend and typically a pullback from a downtrend or possibly the start of an uptrend. And then your state 3, 4, 5, and 6 are somewhere of just those little bitty intermediate moves up and down in the market cycle, as you might see. So major ones we're going to focus on today, 1, 2, I think we have a 4 and state 8 in there. So you'll see some examples from those different states as we go along. Here's state modeling visualized. I have another chart as well to show you after this one, but this kind of shows you state 1 to the far left. You can see the trend is typically going up. You can see some movements up and down in the market, but for the most part in state 1, that stock is on the increase. State 2, it could either be a little bit of a pullback or a continued downtrend or the start of a downtrend. You can see in this particular example, state 2 is going to be the start of that downtrend. That goes to state 2, state 4, then state 8, which is typically, again, the bottom and possibly a reversal back to the upside. And then you can see state 7 into state 5 into state 1. So that's kind of your typical standard state modeling visualization that you'd want to look at. All states or all symbols, don't progress in that particular exact fashion, but this just kind of gives you a good example of what you might be looking at. You do have some that might skip from state 1 to state 2 directly into state 8, or maybe state 7 directly to state 1. and some variances between, but this kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking at. All right, so this is just going to show you a basic chart of Microsoft with state modeling added to it. So this chart is an image from Delphian from our website, or from the platform, excuse me. I'm pulling in a Microsoft chart. I'm giving you a date range of August 2019 to August 2020 of this year. And you can see, down below on the far left, you can see state 2, state 1, state 2, state 1. You have this choppy action in the market, going up, pulling back, going up, pulling back. And then after that last state 1, you can see we have that breakout to the upside. Conversely, after the big peak, you can see state 2 as the market's coming down. And then we're getting a further down pull all the way to state 4. And that would be looked at as almost a deep pullback where you can see a bottom in the market there. And then state 3, state 1, you can see state 2 almost to the far right where that's going to be a pullback. So you can see with a lot of like the breakout trend, and then after the bottom, you can see that, we get a little choppy action coming into those particular sections in the chart, but state modeling, the algorithm itself, seems to pick some of those big breakouts or those big moves pretty well. So, you do get a lot of choppy action, sometimes like all the way to the far left, but when those breakouts happen, state modeling typically doesn't miss those big breakouts for you. Here is just a sample of what state modeling looks like within the actual platform. This is, again, Microsoft with state modeling, state 1. So I use the 4/13/2020 date because you can see on this chart here, basically right after the bottom, you can see the state 4, state 3, state 1. I pulled the state 1 on that particular state 1 example there. So that was
Shawn, we lost you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me, Josh? Hello? Can you hear me, Josh?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I don't know why it keeps going in and out. I apologize, everyone.
Well, I have torrential rain here in Tampa, so I may
we have some.
not.
Yeah, I'm in Florida as well, just on the other coast, but we have some pretty good rain too from the same storm, I think. So I apologize, guys. So we can see Microsoft state modeling, state 1. So I pulled the April 13th date just to match up with the date, like I mentioned, after the state 4, state 3, state 1 bottom. So you can see on April 13th, which we're looking at here, Microsoft went into our bullish state 1 at a price of 165.51. So when state modeling brings this information to you, we bring you the targets, the potential profit targets that you would want to take, plus your stop loss targets as well. Target 1 would be somewhat conservative, target 2 would be moderate, target 3 would be considered aggressive, and similar on the downside as well. With Microsoft going into state 1, we give you the average number of days that it's in state 1 over the past 12 years, plus we give you the average move. And we can see with this one, it's already, as of 5/11, which is the date over here that I pulled this information from, you can see it's already moved 21 days past April 13th, and we're already positive by 12.83%. And then you can see here, this is the chart. The green dotted line is basically going to be the entry date, which again relates to 4/13. And then you can see each day on the chart after that day as it progresses. Some stocks, progress slowly in the middle. Some might come down. If they come down into the reds are stop loss prices, and the green are going to be relative to our actually target prices. So you can see, a chart's going to be different based on a particular stock. And again, if we're looking at a stock that's going to be in state 2, that's going to be, everything's going to be reversed. Our targets are going to be to the downside, and our stop losses will be to the upside because state 2, you're looking for the stock to go down. But I just wanted to show you an example of what state modeling looks like within the platform. Here's a chart of the opposite side. So we talked about before, state 1, state 2, state 1, state 2, and so on until it broke out in state 1. This chart is of ALKS, not sure what stock that is, but I have state modeling states overlaid, and you can see the date range is September 19 to July 20. And you can see, I have on this far left side state 8, state 7, state 8, state 7, and then we have this deep pullback where it transitioned into state 8 and then kept going lower until it hit this bottom. So this is when you would almost get the bottom with the reversal, and you can see 7 back to 8, 7, 5, and then I cut the chart off, but it's possible that it maybe went into a state 3 or a state 1 and kept going higher. I just wanted to show you an example of a 1, 2, 1 like I did on the previous page, and now you're looking at an 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, and so on. And then again, I don't think I mentioned that before. With charts within Delphian, we're able to overlay different indicators and different things within the platform on top of charts. So I was able to take this chart and overlay all of the state modeling transitions on this chart. So that's why you're seeing here, the stock transitioned into state 8, then it transitioned into state 7, and so on. You can actually put your profit and your stop loss targets on there as well, but I wanted to kind of keep it clear so everyone could see it. All right, so now we're going to talk about the Delphian studies. I'm going to transfer it over to Josh. He's actually going to go through explaining kind of what the studies are, the Delphian studies are, and he's going to go through a portion of the studies, and then I'm going to talk about some of the remainder studies after that. So here you go. Thanks, Josh.